Chapter 8: Song Dynasty's Gunpowder Technology, 10th-13th centuries CE. The birth of firearms. The development of gunpowder in China during the Song Dynasty 960–1279 CE marks one of the most significant technological breakthroughs in world history. It is often cited as the moment when the ancient world took its first steps toward modern warfare. The invention of gunpowder and its application in weapons such as bombs, rockets, and firearms transformed not only military tactics but also the balance of power between nations, empires, and regions. While it began as an accidental discovery by alchemists seeking immortality, gunpowder quickly became a tool of destruction, forever changing the way wars were fought. The Song dynasty's pioneering work in gunpowder technology allowed them to innovate new forms of warfare, but it also made them vulnerable to forces that could adapt the technology for their own purposes. Although the Song ultimately fell to the Mongols, the legacy of their gunpowder advancements lived on, spreading to the Islamic world and Europe, where gunpowder weaponry reshaped military and political dynamics. This chapter will explore how the invention and initial use of gunpowder during the Song dynasty reflected a shift in technological power, highlighting both the advantages and dangers of being at the forefront of technological innovation. The accidental discovery of gunpowder. Gunpowder was discovered in China during the Tang dynasty, 618–907 CE, but it wasn't until the Song dynasty that it was fully developed as a military tool. The alchemists who first stumbled upon gunpowder were not seeking to create a weapon, but rather searching for an elixir of immortality. Through the combination of sulfur, charcoal, and potassium nitrate, they inadvertently created a substance that exploded when ignited. This discovery was initially viewed as a curiosity, but it soon became clear that gunpowder had the potential for much more destructive applications. While this led to the selection of gunpowder for their winter use, it also favored the construction of manual tools, such as blows and hammers. By the 10th century, during the Song dynasty, gunpowder had begun to be used in military applications. Although in its early forms it was used primarily for incendiary devices rather than explosive weapons. The Song military experimented with gunpowder to create simple bombs and fire lances, essentially bamboo tubes that would shoot flames or shrapnel at an enemy. These weapons, though primitive by modern standards, gave the Song an edge over their enemies, particularly in defending their borders from nomadic invaders. The significance of gunpowder was immediately apparent. It was a weapon unlike any other in the ancient world, capable of causing destruction through fire and explosion rather than relying solely on physical force. This ability to inflict damage at a distance, without direct contact, set gunpowder apart from previous forms of weaponry and ushered in a new era of warfare. The use of gunpowder in Song dynasty warfare. The Song dynasty was constantly under pressure from foreign invaders, particularly the Khitan Liao dynasty, the Tangut Western Xia, the Jurchen Jin dynasty, and later the Mongols. Surrounded by these powerful adversaries, the Song emperors invested heavily in military innovations, and gunpowder was central to their efforts to maintain their territorial integrity. One of the earliest recorded uses of gunpowder in warfare occurred during the Siege of Dayan in 1132. The Song forces used flying fire, a type of primitive rocket, to repel the Jin invaders. This consisted of arrows attached to small gunpowder-filled tubes that, when ignited, propelled the arrows toward enemy forces. These early rockets were not particularly accurate, but their psychological impact was undeniable. The sight of flaming arrows raining down on an army, combined with the loud explosions, had a demoralizing effect on the enemy, much like Greek fire had in earlier centuries. The Song also developed gunpowder bombs, which could be thrown or catapulted at enemy troops or fortifications. These bombs, made from cast iron or ceramic, contained a gunpowder charge that would explode on impact, sending shrapnel flying in all directions. This was a significant advancement over traditional siege weapons such as catapults or trebuchets, as it allowed the song to inflict damage from a distance and breach fortified positions with relative ease. Another key innovation during this period was the fire lance, which is often considered the precursor to the modern firearm. The fire lance consisted of a bamboo or metal tube mounted on a spear, filled with gunpowder and small projectiles. When ignited, the fire lance would shoot flames and metal shards at short range, making it an effective close-quarters weapon. Although it was limited in range and accuracy, the fire lance introduced the concept of handheld gunpowder weapons, paving the way for future developments in firearms technology. These innovations gave the Song dynasty a significant advantage in their defense against invaders. However, gunpowder was not a miracle weapon, and it did not guarantee victory. The Song military, while technologically advanced, was often hampered by internal political struggles and corruption. Additionally, the nomadic peoples they fought were highly mobile and adapted quickly to changing battlefield conditions. Despite their best efforts, the Song eventually fell to the Mongols in 1279, marking the end of the dynasty and the rise of the Yuan dynasty. The spread of gunpowder technology. While the Song dynasty fell, the technological advancements they had made, particularly in gunpowder weaponry, did not disappear. Instead, gunpowder technology spread to other parts of Asia, the Middle East, and eventually Europe, where it would have an even more profound impact on the course of history. One of the primary vectors for the spread of gunpowder was the Mongol Empire. The Mongols, who conquered both the Jin and Song dynasties in China, were quick to adopt gunpowder technology for their own use. Under leaders like Genghis Khan and Kublai Khan, the Mongols used gunpowder weapons in their campaigns across Asia and into Europe, where they introduced this revolutionary technology to new cultures. The Mongol invasions of the Islamic world, particularly in Persia and the Middle East, facilitated the spread of gunpowder to the Islamic empires. The Islamic world had long been a center of scientific and technological innovation, and scholars in cities like Baghdad and Damascus quickly grasped the potential of gunpowder and began to develop their own gunpowder-based weapons, such as cannons and early forms of firearms. From the Islamic world, gunpowder made its way to Europe, likely through the Mediterranean trade routes and during the Crusades. By the late 13th and early 14th centuries, European armies were experimenting with gunpowder weapons, leading to the development of the first cannons and handguns. These innovations would soon transform the face of European warfare, as gunpowder weapons rendered traditional medieval fortifications, such as castles and city walls, increasingly obsolete. Gunpowder and the balance of power in warfare. The introduction of gunpowder into warfare fundamentally altered the balance of power on the battlefield. Traditional modes of combat, which relied on cavalry charges, swords, and bows, became less effective in the face of gunpowder weapons. Cannons could demolish walls that had stood for centuries, and firearms could pierce armor that had once been nearly impenetrable. As gunpowder weapons became more sophisticated, the nature of warfare changed from battles of brute force to battles of technology. This shift had profound consequences for the empires and nations of the medieval and early modern worlds. States that could produce or acquire gunpowder weapons had a distinct advantage over those that could not. This technological disparity led to the rise of new powers and the decline of older, less technologically advanced ones. For example, the Ottoman Empire used gunpowder weapons to great effect in their conquest of Constantinople in 1453, bringing an end to the Byzantine Empire. In Europe, the 100 Years' War, 1337-1453, between England and France, saw the increasing use of cannons and gunpowder artillery, which shifted the power dynamics between knights and common infantry. The once dominant role of heavily armored knights on the battlefield was diminished as cannon fire and muskets could decimate their ranks from a distance. This shift in military technology contributed to the decline of the feudal system and the rise of centralized nation-states with standing armies. Gunpowder also played a key role in the Age of Exploration and the subsequent colonization of the Americas. European powers like Spain, Portugal, and later England and France used gunpowder weapons to conquer and subjugate indigenous populations in the Americas, Africa, and Asia. The military superiority provided by cannons and muskets allowed relatively small European forces to dominate much larger indigenous armies, further exacerbating global inequalities. Technological monopolies and inequality. The development and spread of gunpowder technology highlight a recurring theme in history: the unequal distribution of technological advancements. While the Song dynasty's invention of gunpowder gave them a temporary advantage in defending their empire, the widespread adoption of gunpowder weaponry by other nations eventually leveled the playing field. However, as with many technological breakthroughs, those who first controlled gunpowder weapons used them to assert dominance over others. The Song dynasty initially maintained a monopoly on gunpowder production, closely guarding the secrets of its manufacture and use. This control gave them an edge over their enemies, particularly in the early years of gunpowder experimentation. However, the eventual spread of gunpowder technology to the Mongols, the Islamic world, and Europe meant that this advantage was short-lived. As gunpowder became more widely available, the balance of power shifted once again, with new empires and states using the technology to build their own dominance. The hoarding of technological knowledge by a select few has always contributed to the creation of inequalities both within societies and between them. In the case of the Song dynasty, gunpowder technology was controlled by the state and the military elite, who used it to protect their interests and maintain power. As gunpowder spread to other regions, it was often used by ruling elites to consolidate their control over susceptible populations and neighboring states. This pattern of technological control is not unique to the Song dynasty or gunpowder. Throughout history, access to advanced technologies has been a key determinant of power, with those who possess technological knowledge using it to maintain dominance over those who do not. In modern times, this dynamic can be seen in the race to develop cutting-edge technologies such as artificial intelligence, where nations and corporations that control AI development are poised to dominate global economies and political systems. The legacy of gunpowder technology. The legacy of the Song dynasty's gunpowder technology is profound. What began as an accidental discovery by Chinese alchemists became one of the most transformative technologies in human history. Gunpowder revolutionized warfare, altered the balance of power between empires and states, and played a critical role in the rise and fall of civilizations. In many ways, the invention of gunpowder represents the beginning of modern warfare. The use of explosive weapons changed the way battles were fought, making long-range attacks and sieges more effective than traditional melee combat. This shift in warfare not only impacted military strategy, but also had broader social, political, and economic consequences. As gunpowder weapons became more widespread, the power of feudal lords and knightly orders waned, giving rise to centralized states and professional armies. Moreover, the spread of gunpowder across the world facilitated the creation of new global empires, as European powers used gunpowder weapons to conquer vast territories in the Americas, Africa, and Asia. The military superiority provided by gunpowder allowed these empires to establish colonies and exploit the resources of distant lands, creating a global system of inequality that persists to this day. The development of gunpowder also laid the foundation for future technological innovations in weaponry, including the development of more advanced firearms, artillery, and eventually explosives such as dynamite. Each of these innovations would continue to reshape warfare, politics, and society as nations vied for control of the most powerful and destructive technologies. Conclusion: the Song dynasty's invention and development of gunpowder technology mark a turning point in both Chinese and world history. The use of gunpowder in warfare revolutionized the battlefield, giving the Song a temporary advantage over their enemies and allowing them to defend their empire for centuries. However, the eventual spread of gunpowder to other regions and empires diminished the Song's technological monopoly and reshaped the global balance of power. The story of gunpowder is a reminder of how technological innovation can provide both opportunities and dangers. While gunpowder allowed for new forms of military defense and offense, it also introduced unprecedented levels of destruction. The unequal access to gunpowder technology created power imbalances that shaped the course of history, just as unequal access to new technologies continues to shape the modern world. As we enter the age of artificial intelligence, the lessons of gunpowder remain relevant. The control of advanced technologies, whether in warfare, economics, or governance, has always been a key determinant of power and inequality. Ensuring that the benefits of AI and other transformative